Okay, Ahmed Aziz's Epic Year, chapters 26 and 27. Make sure you are following along in your book, page 130. Let's get started. Chapter 26. Sarah went to sleep in her tutu, so all was well in her head, at least for that night. If only someone could do the same for me. I took my laptop to bed to finish homework before watching shows. I liked to watch Roadrunner cartoons until I fell asleep, rewinding the parts that made Dad laugh. My version of sleeping in a tutu, I guess. I opened Connect. There would be at least 10 messages from Jessica, half begging and the other half yelling at me to prepare for the next class discussion. With 672 students in our school, with 672 friends and followers, Jack's profile was at the top of the list. With 3 friends and followers, mine was near the bottom. There are 672 students in our school, and I was neither a friend nor a follower of Jack's. The math didn't add up. Something was different about the photo next to my name. A few kids had posted photos of themselves. I had laughed at the photo of the girl who had superimposed her face on Arnold Schwarzenegger's body and had been uninspired by the photos of kids holding their favorite iced coffee drinks. Most of the profile photos were blank like mine, just a silhouette of a kid. But today, there was a photo. I zoomed in, and it was definitely me, from a few hours ago, in fact. Purple tutu, tilted tiara, stupid grin on my face. I looked like an absolute fool. Darn Jack. I tried to log in to delete the picture, but 3 tries on my password and I was locked out. Double darn Jack. I had barely noticed the change of photo on my profile, and with only 3 followers and friends, chances were slim that anyone else would see it. I could ignore it. No harm done. But as I scrolled through the list of my classmates, something stood out. All the generic boy and generic girl silhouettes were replaced by photos, every single one, and they were all the same photo, and they were all photos of me in a tutu and a tiara and a stupid grin. It would take forever to hack into every one of those accounts and change the photos back. I had to hand it to Jack. At least he was creative with his bullying. Diabolical. That's a really good word for vocab. I hated him, but couldn't help but be a little impressed. I pictured Dad in the hospital, Sarah in her gray shirt with the holes, Mom's exhausted face every night. I couldn't do anything about any of that. It was totally out of my control, but this I could do something about, and I would. Jack had stepped up his game, so I would have to step up mine, or at least get in the game. I sneaked into Sarah's room, grabbed a couple of things, and shoved them into my backpack. I thought about what that guy said in English class. Stanley's great-great-grandfather had gotten stronger by carrying that pig up the hill every day. As the pig grew bigger, he got stronger. Jack was my pig. So it seems like at the end of chapter 26, things are not going very well for Ahmed. Let's see how he handles Jack in the next chapter. Chapter 27. Once, while waiting at the dentist's office, I had read about Hollywood stars getting colonics. I knew the colon was the large intestine, and from the article I understood that it was a cleanse of some sort, but Mom had to explain the details. She laughed and added, "Some people will stick their money anywhere." I had no desire, intention, or plan to have someone put coffee up my butt, but I imagine the feeling they were hoping for was exactly what I felt that morning. Like someone had given me permission to change the things I could change. That someone was me. I felt fresh, renewed, and ready to take on whatever came my way. I can handle carrying the pig, I told myself. The first hole is the hardest, I told myself. Maybe Jack sensed it because he left me alone. He left me alone while we waited for the bus, while we were on the bus, and while we got off the bus. Was it guilt? Remorse? "Hey, Ahmed," Jack called from behind me. "Wait up a sec." His voice was sweet and slippery. Remorse was too strong an emotion for Jack. Of course he had one of his buddies with him. silent but present. I have this slight problem, Ahmed, and I was hoping you could help me, he said. He almost sounded sincere. Sure, Jack, what's up? I played it cool, like I had no idea what he was talking about. Like we were friends who had conversations all the time. Like my heart didn't pound and my palms didn't sweat when I saw him. Well, I have something great, but I'm not sure how to use it well. I'm afraid I should have saved it for a more opportune moment, he replied. His friend laughed. I heard what he was saying, but all I could think of was opportune. Jack used the word opportune? I tightened my grip on the strap of my backpack. What's this thing you're talking about, Jack? Well, it's this perfect little thing. It's got romance, it's got adventure. Wait, you know how they say a picture is worth 1,000 words? Maybe it's easier for me to show you. He took a stack of papers from his friend and handed me a folded sheet. I stopped walking to open it. If there was any doubt about Jack being the one who posted the photo, there wasn't now. I was looking straight at myself. He thumbed through a stack of papers with my face printed on every one. You can have that copy. I have plenty more. Any other day I would have frozen, not knowing how to respond. Today, however, I was prepared and unbeatable. Colonic unbeatable. You keep it, Jack. I've got that memory locked away right here, I told him as I handed it back and pointed to my heart. You may want to consider a better quality printer next time, though. I walked away, but not before I saw the look of complete confusion on Jack's face. Perplexed. By the end of first hour, there was a photo taped to my locker, and looking down the hall, I saw my photo everywhere. On lockers, water fountains, bulletin boards, classroom doors. People who didn't know me were pulling my face off their lockers and having a good laugh. Mrs. Garter found me in the hall. She had one of my photos in her hand. So, Ahmed, you want to talk about this? Are you okay? I took the photo from her and held it by my face, recreating the goofy smile to show her I could laugh this off. Don't I look okay, I asked. You're sure? Yep, I was sure. By lunch, there wasn't a kid in school who hadn't seen the photo. But just in case, Jack had been to the lunchroom before me and taped a photo on every table. I had to hand it to him. He was very thorough. As I moved down the lunch line, I was very popular that day. Ballerina, keep the line moving. Hey, what's the difference between a plie and a pirouette? Did you forget your tutu at home? It was the last day of school before Thanksgiving break. I had two choices. The first was to make it through the day by ignoring the photos and comments. By the time everyone came back from break, it would be long forgotten. Jack could then find some other way to torture me, and then another, and then another. I chose option 2. I left my tray on the table and headed to the front of the cafeteria. In my backpack was the brown paper bag with the things I had collected from Sarah's room. I balanced the tiara on my head. For the second time in as many days, I pushed my legs through the tutu. No one noticed. I felt a wave of nausea like that day in elementary school when we stood outside in the heat and I had ignored everyone's advice to drink more water. Right before I passed out, I steadied myself before recreating the pose from the photo as best I could. Like those guys who painted themselves like statues, I stood absolutely still. I didn't know what to expect. A couple of 8th graders stopped to look at me, but then kept going. A girl walked past and laughed. One boy shrugged. I continued to stand there, the unexpected ballerina. Jessica stood in front of me, empty tray in hand. Ahmed Aziz, what the heck are you doing? I'm pulling a Jessica. Huh? You must have seen the photos everywhere, right? I thought I'd have people laugh with me instead of at me. And that's a Jessica? Definitely. She looked pleased. Okay, Ahmed, I like what you're doing here. She stepped up on the small stage, put her tray down in front of her, and stood next to me. She stepped her leg behind her and curved her hands over her head, holding the same pose as me. What are you doing? I asked. What does it look like? Don't forget the dumb look you had on your face in the photo, she said, as she did her best imitation of me. And the two of us stood next to each other, not moving or speaking. My stomach growled. Without asking what we were doing, Carl struck the same pose. Ari rolled his wheelchair to the side of the stage and did the same. One by one, it felt like every single person in the cafeteria joined us, not asking why or what. Maybe they assumed it was one of those internet challenges. Maybe they didn't care. Only Jack was left sitting at a table in the far corner. When the bell rang, we all broke into laughter and everyone went to class. Cacophony again, except this time I was part of it. Jessica was at my side and gave me a friendly punch on my shoulder. You see, Ahmed, one person standing in a tutu for no reason is pointless. Everyone standing at the front, now that's